I'm Mr. Reckless Abandon Lazarus Black.
And I am the deranged behemoth Ryan Mantis.
And together, we are
the Black Society.
And you, my friends, are watching Hashtag Truth
with Scott Larson. Roll it.
Watch it all fall down around you now. Was it ever really worth it? Having your kingdom crumble to the ground because you never had the courage. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up.
Spartanburg Community College is offering free tuition this spring. That means free gen ed classes, free healthcare classes, free manufacturing classes. Visit secgoesfree.com to apply. Dream it, chase it, live it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hashtag Truth. Tonight we have the one, the only, Donald J BitDon. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on tonight.
Man, I've watched your work from afar. I've seen a bunch of videos. You have a bunch of your matches on YouTube, and I enjoyed watching them, man. We're going to go over one later on, one of the ones you just went through to win a title. We're going to show that here probably in our third segment. But, man, let's start it off the way I start off every other podcast, man. Tell everybody how you got into this crazy business, how long you've been here, and who started training you.
Well, I've been doing this for, this year was my 20th year. So I'm 20 and a half years in. Started back in 2002, got my start here in Roanoke, Virginia is where I live, with American Championship Wrestling. It kind of really just started from doing some backyard stuff with some guys, and it wasn't all the backyard stuff that you would see on those 90s videos, you know,
right,
hitting each other with just God knows what. This was like story centric and character centric. And
oh, I got you. You weren't jumping through like 50 light tubes and jumping off a house and doing all that stuff.
Especially not me. You don't want that happening.
Right.
And so that just kind of, it was just so fun and addicting to play this different character that we decided to go legit. And in Virginia, you got to have a license and all that. So we showed up to the next show that was in town, and they told us you got to have your license. So it was like, all right, we went and got our licenses. And that's a thing about commissions is you don't have to prove you were trained. And at that point, we weren't. We got some training in there. It's just one of those things that I just really, really picked up on naturally. And from there, we surfed around on the indies. Me and my partner, Greg Vassetti, owner of Star City Pro. We cruised around on the indies for a while, and then we finally found Jimmy Valiant.
Okay.
And he said, "You guys have been on the circuit for a little bit. Come up here, get some training, and we'll, make it official. We'll give you a diploma and all that." So I graduated from Boogie's 2 years after I started pro wrestling.
Okay.
Which is not the typical path that most people take. You typically got to be training for a year. Any of my students that have trained with me know that it takes a good long time before you're ready, and we definitely weren't ready in those early days. But a lot of good learning experiences because we did our learning live. We didn't get to practice and mess up, in a practice ring, when nobody's watching. We made our mistakes in front of people, and that we learned the definition of what works and what doesn't.
That had to be hard to do it in front of people. I mean, most people, like you said, they take it takes a year and a half, training under somebody who's, been in the business for a while, like yourself, 20 years now, you're helping others. But back then, was it hard to find somebody to help train you, or was it just that you had already gotten into one of the wrestling companies out there, and they were just willing to put you out there.
It's kind of what it was. It was really just, it wasn't a career at first. It was like,
Right.
this is fun, like being this other character and doing the stuff, people paying money to come and watch me perform and all this. And it was just this, it literally fell in my lap. When I tell people, like, did you grow up dreaming about doing this when you were a kid? I didn't. I didn't start watching until I was in high school, and that was 97,
wow.
98. Yeah.
Right.
The peak of the NWO, DX, yep.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the first things I remember, because when I went to college, I kind of got away from watching wrestling, and he's still very close friend of mine to this day. He at college, he moved off campus, and I showed up to his apartment one day, and he was watching wrestling. Well, it just happened to be the night that Vince announced he had bought WCW, and I was hooked again instantly. Had a year's worth of Raw and SmackDown on VHS, and just all this different stuff. I was hooked. I was into it hardcore, and I honestly, 20 years ago when I was in high school, never saw myself doing this for literally half my life at this point.
Wow. See, that's amazing. See, now, so if you had to spitball 20 years, about how many matches do you think you've been in? Just spitball a number.
It would have to be in the ballpark of 1,000.
Wow.
Because I worked every 2 weeks for CWF Mid-Atlantic for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
So, and then a lot of times there would be a show Friday, sometimes a show Sunday, sometimes a show earlier in the afternoon on Saturday. And then obviously the weekends when I wasn't working there, I'd be at other places.
Right. Real
good spot I had with Ricky Nelson working for Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling several years ago. Man, that's where I got to work some really outstanding names and legends.
What was your name when you first came in? I'm pretty sure you weren't BitDon the whole time. So
no.
what was your very first wrestling name? I always love the names people pick, so I want to hear this one.
It was Donnie Dollars.
Donnie Dollars? Okay, at least that's respectable.
No, I spelled it with a $sign on the end. That was my, the hook.
There you go.
It was when we were trying to figure out what exactly it was I was going to do. The name goes all the way back to the backyard days, because we were trying to figure out, what name could I use, because they were trying to fit me in with this like mafia style gimmick. I was going to be the bodyguard, obviously, for the group, because I was bigger than everybody. Go figure. And we're trying to think mob style, Italian style, and Donnie Brasco was popular at the time, and I was like, I kind of like that name, Donnie Brasco. And we're like, yeah, we can't really.
Yeah, you don't want to copy your name. You don't want to copy your name.
And it was my brother that actually came up with. He was like, "What about Donnie Dollars?" And it just rolls off the tongue, easy to make. All kinds of gimmick stuff with, obviously wanting to be different than the people that have come before you, but
right.
Still one of those things where it's not like it's so niche and so like focused that it's hard to, accommodate your gimmick.
Right. Did you ever watch, I'm trying to think of his name. My mind went blank, but the WWE guy that was all about money,
DiBiase.
Ted DiBiase,
yeah. DiBiase is who I kind of model the character after, as far as like in-ring persona. And IRS is how I dress.
There you go. Yeah, we're gonna see what you look like when we play that match here in a little bit. But it's amazing, man. You've been in for 20 years. Now you're in West Virginia or Virginia?
Virginia.
So you must be pretty popular 20 years in the Virginia area around where you're at.
Well, the thing about in Virginia is it's so hard to kind of get a foothold in these places. Roanoke used to be a hotbed for wrestling. I mean, they had I think a
Right.
Starcade at the Civic Center back in the 80s. You know, this was
Right.
a literal, like, one of the places, you know, the 2 hour drive to Greensboro is nothing. And you got, you know, all the stuff happening down there during, especially during the holidays in
Right.
Carolinas. I had to explain that to my
I
mom.
mean,
Why do they
it's
do
not
stuff on
hard to hit
Thanksgiving?
that freeway and head on down to North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. I mean, it's
Exactly.
all right
Yep.
down the coast.
I am known. I don't know if I'd say well known. I'm at least known throughout the wrestling community. So whenever I show up, people kind of know who I am, even if you know, being honest, I don't always, I have a bad memory sometimes. So I don't always remember if I've met you before.
No, I can see that. I mean, being in 20 years, you're not going to remember everybody that you've ever met. I mean, it's mostly, and anybody who wrestles for 20 plus years will admit it's mostly the names they're going to remember. I mean, the big names in the area,
Right. Oh,
the
yeah.
ones that went to WWE or what have you, or, you know, it could be a local guy that just, you know, is a champion all over the place, just didn't make
Right.
it to, you know, WWE, but you'll remember them guys. And
I think I'm starting to develop my name as a trainer in these areas too, because now I'm head trainer at Star City Pro, which is just down the road in Salem.
Right.
And then I'm a official trainer for Jimmy Valiant's camp. And
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of places where I just seem to go, and I just find a way. That's my cat over there.
Nah,
Just
you good. I
find a
got 2
way.
cats that'll jump up here too. Don't worry about it.
I lost my train of thought. Thanks, Guy.
Okay. I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to do that.
No, it's all good.
I'll tell you what, I have to ask you about a certain person because I reached out. I happen to be looking, you know, I'm one of them guys that if I put you on the show, I'm going to look at all your stuff. I went down your Facebook page and a toy store happened to catch my eye. It's like, wait a minute, a toy store, wait a minute, the basement toy store, wait a minute. So I sent them a message. I said, hey, this is Scott Larson from #Truth. His name is Justin. I said, hey, Justin, you know, I've got a toy store that sponsors me. I'd like to know if you'd like to make a commercial and maybe put it on #. I'd like to put your store out there free of charge because, you know, I'm interviewing BitDon tonight. And he goes, yeah, my old partner. So there's a story there. Tell me about that. Tell me about Justin.
You know, that's Versetti. That's
Okay.
I'll let you in on the back on a little. I don't tell many people this. My real name is also Justin.
Okay.
That's what the J stands for.
There you go.
And he was Justin. That's what everybody called him. So everybody just called me Donnie. And that's how we differentiated. And so if you call me Donnie, you either know that's what I'm going to respond to, or I know you from wrestling. If you don't,
Right.
then you don't know anything about that world, and that's kind of how I keep them separate.
There you go.
And yeah, I met him. It was when I went to Virginia Tech and didn't really work out the way I had expected. And when I came back, I was working 2 jobs. I picked up a second job at the mall at Buckle, and that's where I met Justin, and that's where the backyard stuff began. Because not 5 minutes, you know, out on the sales floor at Buckle, he turns to me and the manager that was there and says, "Either of you guys like wrestling?" and boom, it was off from there.
There you go.
Me and him started to get, because we were kind of getting grown 20s, and they wanted to stop doing the backyard stuff, all the other guys. And so we were like, well, we don't want to stop. We're having too much fun. Like, what's it really take to get in the ring? Now, here 20 years later, I'm saying it takes a lot to get in the ring and be able to do this consistently.
Yeah.
But back then we were like, you know, what's the harm in trying at least? And we started together. I managed him in the first match he ever had, April 27, 2002.
Okay.
I came on a little later because I was still very, very, very undeveloped, even just as a character.
Right.
But I had personality. I knew how to talk to people. I knew how to interact and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what
you had the gift of gab. I call it the gift of gab.
Yeah. Even though in the first few years I didn't really talk at all. It was just one of the, I could just kind of relate to people without having to use words. And that's
There you
what
go.
really appealed to me about wrestling is I don't have to talk. I can tell a story with my body and with my actions.
Right. Without a doubt. Well, we're going to hit our first commercial break right here. When we come back, we're going to talk some more with Donald J BitDon. If you guys have any questions out there, please feel free to put them
Light
up
it
here.
up.
Yeah, there you go. And we'll be right back. And then I got some questions I still want to ask because I got some things. Well, we're gonna do our local toy store, Retro Toys and Collectibles, and hopefully pretty soon I'll get the basement on here because that store looks pretty cool too. So we'll be right back.
This is 4 Foot Batman. And 4 Foot Batman knows the home of great collectibles at awesome prices. Retro Toys and Collectibles. Movie memorabilia, Magic the Gathering cards, wrestling figures, Hot Wheels, the always popular Funko Pops, and much, much more. He knows the Hall of Collectibles is located in downtown Cherryville, North Carolina, at 400 East Main Street. Give them a call today, 980-989-5181. Retro Toys and Collectibles, the heavyweight champion in collecting.
There you go, Retro Toys and Collectibles. When you go
Pay a
in
lot for that Batman cameo.
Oh man, I got a really good friend named Chuck who's got that's 4 Foot Batman, we call him, and 4 Foot Batman goes everywhere Chuck goes. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so he did that. We went in there and we got a sponsorship from them, and Chuck was like, "Hey, I'd like to do a 4 Foot Batman commercial inside your store." Go ahead.
Nice. Speaking of what you had just mentioned, because before I left from training today, Versetti was talking about, he said if you need more guests, he would be happy to come on there and talk about his career and talk about his toy store. So
I already spoke to him. I'm gonna hook him up with that. Trust you me, I'm gonna hook him up. I might get both of y'all on here at the same time.
oh, that would be a wild ride right there.
Yeah, talk about the days when you guys were together doing it out there. I mean,
We actually our tag team when we first started was called The Firm.
okay.
So like we believed that because we would go and we would record our stuff on Mondays and then sit down and watch Raw, and then we get together and record our stuff on Thursdays and sit down and watch SmackDown. And we believed in this thing that we called the brain chip, or the microchip that was implanted in our brains, because we would think this stuff, and then within like a month or 2 months, almost verbatim, you'd see that same stuff play out on TV, and we'd look at each other like, come on now. Like they had to be listening.
Ideas?
Right, yeah, they had to be listening to us. Like they got microphones were bugged around here. I don't know what it is, but
so you eventually got changed to Donald J BitDon. What started the change to BitDon?
Well, it was when you're doing this so long, you can kind of tend to plateau. And I had found myself doing that in the probably I took a break off from wrestling for about almost a year until the end of 2015.
Okay.
And when I came back, I had lost a little luster for, at least the shine on my name had lost a little bit.
Right.
And I was real stagnant, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do, how I was supposed to progress forward. And this could be a lesson to any wrestlers who feel like they're plateauing. I, through that whole next year, went to, I don't know how many seminars, Quackenbush, Bill DeMott, 3-day training session where I about died. I was older than every single person that was at that one too. So, but I was hanging with them, and at the end, Bill DeMott was like, "Okay, I see you. All right." But I started just trying to become more, not a student of the game, as they say, but more just like digging into what I was and what I was doing. And the first real helpful step that I took was I was doing some airport runs for WrestleCade a couple years ago, and I had Christian in the car with me.
Okay.
Now, I personally love Christian way more than I love Edge. Always have. Don't know why.
Okay.
And so I had to ask him. I said, because I don't want to flood him with all these questions, but I was going through kind of a crisis, an identity crisis. And I said, how did you go from being one of the greatest tag team wrestlers, around, to one of the greatest singles competitors, like winning the heavyweight title with Impact or whatever, like just all this stuff, where he was finally kind of allowed to shine. And I asked him, I said, how did you do that? What was the key to that? And he said, it's got to be organic. And I took that to heart. And I was like, okay, I can't just be forced. I can't, bring out, just do any old thing. It's got to be, if I'm going to evolve this character, it's got to be natural. Right. And then the next step came just like a month or two later. New Year's was kind of hanging out with Shane Helms.
Okay.
And I had already had the idea to kind of make up my own new logo, because my first logo was I'm a big Ohio State fan, if you can't tell by the border around here. But my first gear, I took the block O and I turned it into a $sign where it says Ohio State. I put Donnie. So that was my first logo. And I was like, I got to do something new, something that's me. And I had thought about, I'd seen the B with the $signs through it for the Bitcoin. And I was like, why don't I do a D with the $sign through it, Donnie Dollars? And then Shane Helms was like, why don't you just take it a step further and actually just evolve yourself into cryptocurrency? And I was like, you know what, Shane?
Yeah,
I see why they hired you.
On a lot of your pictures, you're holding that crypto.
And I forgot to grab one, but I think I have one. Hold on 1 second. I'll grab it. Keep talking. All
right, man. All right. Well, we're gonna go to a commercial here in a few minutes, and then right after that commercial, when we come back, we're gonna watch Donald J BitDon in a match where he went up against Rick Reeves for the PPW Southeastern Championship. So that's gonna be an exciting match. He's not looking for a BitDon. He wants to show us a Bitcoin that he.
Oh, I got it. But as they say in the business, we'll do a tease and we'll have to come back to it.
Oh, okay, I got you. I like that. But here, I'll tell you what, I can do this too. Let me see. Let me go to let me see if I can do this without interrupting the show here.
We don't want to do that now.
No. Well, if I go on my Facebook page, you'll hear the echo because you're hearing us twice. But I got it up. Let me see if I can go ahead and load this up. This is the advertisement that I put out for us, and it's you holding the Bitcoin, so at least they'll know what we're talking about. There you go.
Yep. Love that shot.
There it is, right there. I love that too. That is a that you look like you're made of money with that shot, and you got the suit on. And do you actually when you're wrestling, do you come out in the suit at all? Like when you do a promo? If you do a promo early and wrestle late, do you come out in the suit or?
No, it's my entrance gear is very much like IRS. And then my latest gear has a flare of DiBiase in it, tribute to his old school pants with like the yellow stripe. Now I know DiBiase would tear them away, but I don't. That's just what I'm more comfortable with. But
it looks good though. I watched some of that match. We're gonna watch some of that match, but the first thing that caught my eye was I've never seen anybody with pressed like ironed gear, and I said that's awesome because it screams money when you look at it. And I was like, that is so cool. Just the little things, man.
That's the thing about what I do is everything is genuine. Like as far as like the amount of effort I put into it, I don't half-ass nothing.
Right.
So I'm going to make sure it's top notch every time I put something out. So, that's just
So
it's
who is your biggest enemy through the years, man? Who is that one guy that everywhere you go in Virginia, it just seems he's there?
God, that is a difficult question because I've never had a nemesis, as it were.
Okay.
If anybody, I could say the person I have the most history with would be Matty D. He was a Matthew De Niro. He was a member of Fatback and all that. But we were roommates. He was doing the backyard stuff before I even he was doing that
Right.
when he was 15 years old in high school.
Right.
But we were roommates, we were road partners, we were mortal enemies, we were stable mates, we were tag team partners like
Guys
him.
did
And
it
if
all
it's
together,
not
right?
him, if it's not him, it would be Nick Richards or Corey Etzel. I'd say Corey Etzel at this point in my career is probably my nemesis.
Okay. Yeah, that's that. Now, if there's one question I like asking all indie wrestlers, no matter how long they've been in the business, is there that one cat? Is there that one cat out there that you have not wrestled yet, maybe in your area or anywhere? That one cat that you want to wrestle that you haven't been in the ring with?
That is a tough one because I have been in the ring with a lot of people. I've also not been in the ring with a lot of people. I'd have to say, honestly, currently, right now, and for the past at least 5 years, somebody I'd like to see how I stack up against him would be Mr. Darius Carter up in New York.
Okay.
He's fantastic. Everything he does is just top notch. Every time I see it, I've just got nothing but high praise for him. Around here, it would definitely be Brad Attitude. Brad Attitude is that one guy that I had a good chemistry with. I think, backstage when I was coming up and just finding my way.
Okay.
But he's been to the big time. He's, best friends with Dolph Ziggler. The man knows what he's doing. And he's right. Every time he gets in the ring, there's just one star there. He ain't got to worry about no 5 stars. So Brad Attitude's probably the one guy that I've never worked that would be a delight.
Okay. Is there ever been a time when you were wrestling? Now I know you said that you went from the backyard into the ring and you didn't have a lot of training, so there was probably a time there the first year or so where you made some mistakes, probably some big ones. Is there anyone that sticks out in your mind? Man, looking back, man, I should have known better.
Not as far as doing something in the ring, like a move or saying or doing something. For me, when I was first coming up, it was me versus myself, me versus my stomach, more specifically, because I had a hell of an appetite. And I mean, when I started, I was tipping the scales about 300. I dropped down to about 250 and kind of went back up to 300. I mean, I've always been a super heavyweight, but
right.
There were several times early on in my career where I have just found out now that I cannot eat on show days. We'll just leave it at that. My metabolism doesn't process fast enough for me to be able to eat and then perform.
I got you. That makes perfect sense. Well, we're going to head off to our next commercial break, and when we come out of it, I'm going to ask you about the little man outside of the ring with the cape and the BitDon stuff. You got to tell me about, is he your manager? Is he just who is he? We're going to find out right after this message from Guy Roofing. We'll be right back.
At Guy Roofing, we're a different breed. We eat challenges for breakfast, and hard work is our first language. We're on the road before the sun hits the pavement, ready to get our hands dirty. And we don't quit until the job is done. For over 50 years, We've been putting in the work, going above and beyond to make sure you know you're in good hands. We're not just replacing a roof or fixing a leak. We're protecting your family, your business, and the dreams you've built. Because, like you, we dream big. And if the sky's the limit, that's where we're going. We're fierce. We're family. We're Guy Roofing.
There you go, Guy Roofing, all up the East Coast. Nothing
Hi,
worse.
Ginger.
Hey, kitty. Nothing worse than being in the rain or the snow, especially when you get up the coast and it starts snowing and stuff, than a leaky roof. Call Guy Roofing. They'll hook you up real quick. All right, so I'm watching this match that we're about to show here in a second, and this guy comes out. He's got a mask on. He's got a BitDon shirt on. He's got a golden cape on. I mean, he looks like a superhero on the outside. Who is this guy to you?
That is MetaMask. MetaMask is a crypto term. Like I said, I go all in. I don't just, I had to find something that was fitting. He is my personal bodyguard.
Okay.
Just imagine the strength and the size and the power that I possess.
Now you can see him right behind the
compact it.
referee there. You can see him right behind the referee there.
Yep, back there. Yep. You just take all that size and strength and just compact it down and just imagine I've just got a mini Hulk beside me, So
Right.
obviously I need someone. Yeah, I'm a bodyguard, hitman for hire. That's the whole thing. And so
Right.
I, better than anyone, should know what it takes to be a top-notch bodyguard. And I tell you, he's been key in several victories of mine, making sure that the better man does win.
I got you. So we got, as you can see on the top of the box there, it says Donald J BitDon versus Rick Reeves for the PPW Southeastern Championship. We're going to watch the last 5 minutes of it, but we can talk during it if you want to, or we can pause it. And if you want to talk about a certain move or something that's going on, the reason why I went halfway through it is because the build up at the beginning of a match, it's just a build up. And this is where the match to me really started picking up and getting good, going both ways. So here we go.
Let's see it. Oh, this guy, Rick Reeves, he's a really good, he's a little taller than me. I could see this guy going places.
Nice move. Had you down. Looked like you up. Here we go.
See, he's got the best interest of BitDon in mind. And BitDon is not me. BitDon is the currency. BitDon is what puts the food on the table. It's what allows us to have all these nice luxury things. He
slid right out of there. Oh, almost got the kick. Oh, another big move.
I don't know what he calls that, but it did not feel good.
He almost had you. You got the arm up 2 3/4, boy. Now, this is the second match you've had with him over this championship, correct? I believe I saw another one.
I think maybe for the championship, yes, but we have tangled about 5 or 6 times this year alone. Okay. So this is not,
So this is a rivalry of yours.
He's got my belt and he's trying to prove a point because, Rick Reeves, he ain't earned this title. He hasn't earned this yet. And, he thinks he's just a superstar when, I'm just trying to humble him. Yeah, that's his belt.
Oh,
he touched me, man. I don't like people sneaking up behind me.
And there it is. 1, 2, 3, just like that. I mean, wow. You laid him out.
Definitely. See, I had to come up with something. He's got a metal plate in his head. So he tried to use it again on me earlier in the match, and I got out of the way, thank God, because it could cripple me. See, ref, right where you left it. We didn't touch that belt.
I
What are you
got
talking
you.
about? So yeah, this is actually my first win at Pure Pro Wrestling. I've been there for well over a decade. Not
Okay.
as consistently as I was at CWF,
Well, you
but I
laid
do
him out.
believe
He's still just now coming too.
I do believe that I have a record of this is unofficial, the most matches competed in, or at least the longest tenure at
There you go.
Pure Pro without winning a title, and that was the same for me when I was at CWF Mid Atlantic until Matty D broke that record from me. So I kind of have this history of being somewhere a long time and truly, honestly waiting for that big payoff, because it'll come. You just gotta wait.
So yeah, you've been in PPW for quite a while. I see you going up against Sledge Gibson, Rick Reeves,
R.I.P.
yeah,
Montvale Rec Center.
yeah, you've got a lot of matches. I'm telling you guys, if you guys love BitDon or you love what you're listening to, go to YouTube. Just put in Donald J BitDon, and his matches will pop up. There's about 15 of them right in a row.
Or Donnie Dollars.
Great matches.
A lot of Donnie Dollars on there.
There you go. If you want the earlier stuff.
Yeah, there's a fantastic dog collar chain match I had with Nick Richards back in 2014. Yeah, 2014. That was one of the most. Oh God, that was a years long feud, and the payoff to it was just so beautiful.
Ron Emerson of the Wrestling Wire said, "What's up, Scott Larson? How you doing, Ron? You guys can check out the Wrestling Wire Thursday nights at 8:00 and Sunday evenings, usually around 4. But check Ron Emerson Jr.'s Facebook page for the exact time and location of his shows. He talks everything, not only indie wrestling, but he talks WWE, AEW, Impact, NWA, the whole 9 yards. Go check him out, without a doubt. So
here, while we're breaking, I'll go ahead and show you the.
There it is. There's the
BitDon coin.
Oh. How much does it cost you to make those things, man?
Oh, you can't give away trade secrets. I can tell you they cost $10 at the gimmick table.
Okay, there you go. All right, I'll accept that. $10 at the gimmick table. That's
no.
nice,
I like to think I've got the market cornered for, a custom coin, because how many people you see? And I mean, here, listen.
That's a real coin. That's
legit.
Coin.
It's legit,
right? Wow, I like that, man. That is. I mean, I love that you put so much intelligence into your and there's the.
I mean, you've seen this, right?
I've seen those many times.
The custom. That's what I kind of, one of the reasons why I kind of compare myself modern day Ted DiBiase is because you don't see many people making their own, belt.
Right.
Having their own championship
nice,
to represent themselves,
nice,
and then
shiny.
And then not even it represents more than me. It represents the currency, the crypto. And I actually created a real cryptocurrency too. So that's the most fun part.
AJ Frost said, "I met Donald J BitDon at Boogie's Wrestling Camp. I'm a fan." There you go. And Ron said, "That's really smart. I don't think I've seen or heard anyone with a coin in the last 15 or 20 years." There you go.
Like John Cena, I've got custom wristbands too. So I kind of cornered the market on things that I know I've seen people get excited about, and that I know not many people on the indies have.
See, I like that. I like that you have a coin and stuff like that. Do you ever like use it in one of your promos, like flip it up or whatever, just
I
have it
think
in your
I'm
hand to
I
twirl
think
it?
I'm going to start instituting it a lot more. I've had the thought of like placing them over their eyes after I beat them.
That's nice. I
I've
like
thought
that.
about taking, because it is the same on both sides. I've thought about, little two-face action, marking up one side, and then fate determines what happens to you. You
There
know
you
what I'm
go. I
saying?
like
Like
that. I like that.
there's infinite possibilities if you just open your mind.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you can do a lot of things. Now, the character, the way you have it, he seems more heelish than Baby. So you're probably a heel more often than Baby, right? But have you ever played Baby?
I have. It was kind of an arduous task. Back in the day, we were heels when we were Fatback Enterprises, and we were kind of like this NWO type group. We just went out there, we did whatever the hell we wanted, cheating or not cheating, letting them cheer for us, letting them boo us, whatever they wanted to do. And then they came to me because I was apparently the last one, because I was always the straight man in Fatback. There would always be a bunch of cut ups and whatever, and I was always the guy that you could not break. I was
There you
always that heel, and they came to me. Brad Stutz came to me and says, "I think we're gonna go. I think we're gonna go babyface. How do you feel about that?" And I said, "Oh, if everybody's on board, let's do it." And I will tell you, probably I have the most fun when I'm a heel, but
Yeah,
that
it's a lot harder to be
babyface,
a baby face than it is a heel.
oh yeah, that babyface run with Fatback Enterprises was probably some of the most fun I ever had in my life, in my entire career. It was
Ron
just
Emerson said Penny over the eyes of the dead, classic. And he also said if you can learn to flip it like the demon did in Constantine, that would be money.
all right. That'll take some work.
Oh yeah, definitely. But nothing comes cheap in wrestling, man. When you're doing your gimmick, and you're proof of that, man. I mean, you know, have you ever? Is your next step in wrestling, because you're still wrestling now? Is your next step in your training? You got a training school and things like that. But if you want to keep your career going, and I'm not saying you're done with your career by any means, but once you get ready to put the boots up, have you ever thought about changing BitDon? I mean, he could switch right over to a manager real quick.
Oh yeah. When I stop wrestling, that won't be the end of my time in wrestling.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, like at this point, it's like in my blood.
Right.
It's just one of those things that I'm gonna have to find a creative outlet for. I see myself. I just turned 41. I see myself going at least another 9 years because I feel
Okay.
great. Like I hear other 40-year-old people complaining about stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I got those same issues, but I've been getting in many car crashes for 20 years. So,
There you go.
all
There you
things
go.
considered, I think I'm doing all right, so.
Yeah. When they start complaining, say, "Hey, come here. Let me take you to the wrestling ring. Let me give you one of these moves, and then let's see if you
Exactly.
complain after that."
I'm having a lot of fun doing the training thing, so I can definitely see that continuing. I'm kind of almost trying to do this as like an internship too, like
Right.
prove my worth as far as a trainer goes. And then some people would be like, "Hey, who trained you? You're really good." And then they say me, and then somebody else, "Hey, who trained you?" And the next person says me, and then
Yeah.
they go,
Word of mouth in wrestling.
maybe we gotta look into this guy and what he's doing. But I mean, it's always fascinated me doing any part of it because you're all telling a story. I personally love doing guest commentary. I love sitting there being my character on the commentary table, but I still have that Gorilla Monsoon JR in me where I want to call the action and then I'll put my spin on it. But I'd like to book, I'd like to promote, I'd like to do any of those. I actually got my chance to do a little booking this summer, and I sent Brad Stutz a message. We're real good friends with him, and he had the book at CWF for a while, and I messaged him, and I was just trying to book one little show for
Right.
a racetrack up here. And I messaged him and I said, I'm sorry if I ever gave you shit for having struggling with booking issues. I said, I'm doing one show and I'm ripping my hair out. So
Right.
But it's so fun to just try to just tell these stories, have fun, you know. I honestly couldn't see myself doing anything else, but 20 years ago I couldn't have seen me doing this.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to hit my last commercial break right here. L&L Fence Company. It's going to be a quick commercial. Then when we come back, we're going to talk about all the stuff that's on the wall behind Mr. BitDon and some of his great hobbies. And we talked a few minutes before the show, but right after L&L, we'll get into that.
L&L Fence Company, specializing in custom fencing from wood and aluminum to chain link. 9331 Albemarle Road in Charlotte, North Carolina. Give them a call today for your free estimate. 704-563-9544. L&L Fence Company, the king in custom fencing.
L&L Fence Company. They'll do any kind of fence. Just call them up. Free estimate. They'll come out today. Thank you very much. L&L. Ron has a quick question before we get into your hobby, sir. He said, you say up here, where are you running? He came in late.
As far as trading, I guess.
As far as wrestling, where he wants to know where you're located.
Oh, I got you. I am based out of Roanoke, Virginia. Main company I'm working for right now is Pure Pro Wrestling. They are based out of Pelham and Danville area. They come up to Rocky Mount, Virginia on a semi-monthly basis. I'm really willing to work anywhere and everywhere. I've been to Indiana, New York, Georgia, Ohio, Michigan, West Virginia, Virginia. Yeah, I've been all over. Maryland, Delaware.
Nice.
I'm open to just going and working anywhere. Honestly, like I just love doing this so much. I love spending my time on the road. And I love coming up with new stories to tell every time I get a chance to.
There you go. Now we see all this stuff on your back wall, all the posters. Tell us a little bit about that, man.
All right. Well, we got my three favorite movies right here. Interstellar, Inception, Tenet. They're all by Christopher Nolan, my favorite director. I'm a bit of a cinephile. And I've got 1,500 DVDs. I don't really have the room for them right now, but it's quite a big collection. And then I got my X-Files over here. Big, huge fan of X-Files since I was pretty much in high school. And then we got this nice little collection of like comic book covers. I wasn't a comic book kid growing up, but the MCU has really turned me into a comic book fan. I'm now a fan of comic books because of the movies.
Right. Well, it doesn't hurt that you have a buddy that owns a comic book and
exactly. Now I'm just like, hey, where's this series at? And he pulls it out for me, and I'm like, all right, how much? It's this like the whole Scarlet Witch and the House of M. I was like, where's this House of M? I'm trying to get down on it, and he's like, I got you right here.
That's the one good thing about it, man. I'm telling you, if I had a buddy. A true buddy that ran a toy store, I'd be in there all day long. He'd have to kick me out, bro.
Well, every day I go in there, I'm like, what am I gonna not walk out of here with today that I've seen for the first time? Like every day it's a new, like, I didn't know you had this. Where did this come from?
Right. Well, you never know who, because he has it on his where he advertises. He says we'll buy and sell anything. So you go in there with anything that people will collect. I'm pretty sure he'll jerk it right up. Especially if he can make money on the return. Ron Emerson, when he was asking you where you were from, he said he got you. He's a Southern Maryland guy.
Go. Yep, I wrestled up in Southern Maryland wrestled for Crab, and then I wrestled for. That was Championship Wrestling and Beyond for those who weren't aware. They were running real close to MLW before MLW became like a studio production.
Right.
So Because I remember them saying something about MLW's running close to here. So that down in that area, that Southern Maryland area.
There you go. Ron Emerson said the last thing I read were Hellraiser and Next Testament. And he said Crab was Money and Sin, friends of mine.
Yep. Jason used to be an old tag partner of mine.
There you go. So you guys got a little bit in common. You might want to go over there and be on his podcast and get questions from him. I'm pretty sure he knows your area a lot better than I do.
I want to say if there's like 6 degrees of separation, if we were to play that game with me, right. I've been in the ring with everybody if we want to do that. Because I've wrestled the Rock and Roll Express. Nice. I wrestled Bobby Eaton. Nice. I've wrestled Abyss. I've wrestled Cameron Grimes, Trevor Lee.
That was some good name drops, man.
Yeah,
What's up, Alexander? Welcome to Hashtag Truth.
My favorite, probably my most starstruck I was ever in was probably when I teamed with the Barbarian against the Steiner brothers.
Nice.
And I tell you,
I saw the Barbarian one time in person, and man, he is huge. It's like
I'm about the same height. I got to look up at him a little bit, but you can find that match on YouTube in several places. And if not, you can definitely find it on Vimeo because it's so bad. I've had that match digitized so long that it was before you could upload anything longer than 10 minutes to YouTube.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Barbarian, man. I interviewed a guy right after a match that he had with Barbarian, and he said that man is one of the stiffest men in the ring, but you learn a whole lot when you get out. Once you're done with a match with Barbarian, you learn how to deal with a stiff wrestler.
Well, that's why I'm glad I was on his side. But unfortunately for me, it was the Steiner brothers on the other side.
There you go. He said Barb is still jacked. Yeah,
he is. I love seeing Barb. I'll give you a little kind of funny backstage story about that Steiner brothers match. Just to kind of give, probably saying a little more than I should, but talking to Scott, and I'm like, because we had figured out what the finish was going to be. It was going to be his belly to belly overhead suplex followed by the Steiner recliner. And I said, so which way do you need me to jump? You need me to jump left, right, straight over? And he looks me dead in the eye and says, you'll go whatever way I throw you, kid. And I said, you got it.
Way I take you.
And he sure as hell did. I'm a big dude, and I have never been just tossed around like a rag doll like I was with Scott Steiner. It was
funny. I'll take you. You're gonna go wherever I take you, kid.
Yeah. I said, I looked him right dead back in the eye. I said, yes, sir.
Alex is just now coming in, but he wants to know who would you want to work in a match and what type of match?
Who? Anybody? Like if I could like a dream
anybody
match would be either Kane or Big Show.
Oh, nice.
I've done just about every match type there is. Now, this match type wouldn't apply to Kane or Big Show. I still want to do a ladder match. I've still never done a ladder match in my career.
Oh, I've being a big guy, that would be something.
Exactly. I've been in cage matches, dog collar matches, hardcore matches galore. When we were in Fatback, good Lord, that was our calling card. Me and Corey Edsel hit a guy with a car hood.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I would love to see that match.
I hit a guy with a sink one time. I pulled it out of the ring, and they said he pulled out everything, including the kitchen sink.
Well, there you go. That's da-doom.
Exactly. Yeah. Like there's the most fun I can have is in a hardcore match, but the one that I want to have is a ladder match that I've never done before. Because once have you ever done
a street fight as BitDon?
Oh, as BitDon, I'm not sure, but I have definitely been in street fights.
Right.
BitDon's more of a we're gonna do this in the ring kind of guy, unless I have to rough you up on the outside.
I got you. Have you? Does your character do like Ted DiBiase and pay off somebody to come in and help? If your little guy ain't there with the mask, do you like pay somebody to rough somebody up before a match or
In a
while they're out
perfect
there?
world where I have control of my own book, yes.
That's what I
That's
like.
the idea.
But the bookers, if the booker don't let you, then you can't. I got you.
Like ideally, it would be like, yeah, like oh, he ain't doing nothing. Well, he can fight for me tonight, that kind of thing. But then sometimes I'll look back and I'll be like, nah, I want to work instead.
Alex wants to know, what's the best advice you ever got in wrestling?
It would have to be probably that first thing, that thing from Christian, that pertained to me particularly, as far as like change gimmicks and just whatever you do in wrestling, just let it be organic.
Right.
But I'd have to say that the best advice,
you've had in 20 years, you've had to have had a lot of advice from people,
right? And
it's hard to just pinpoint one thing, right?
I think it would be what Mike Quackenbush said in one of his seminars that I did, and that is, don't be afraid to fail and fail miserably, because that fear of failure is going to keep you from even trying to do new things. And that little piece of advice really just kind of kicked down the door for me, as far as like not being so caught up in my own hype. I'll let other people hype me up, but like, because when I changed my name and all that stuff, I was like, oh, but I built this up for 16 years. How do I change it? They still knew who I was.
It just needed to be little subtle changes, and it was great. But you were talking about, don't be afraid to fail. I heard something today that blew my mind. I was, again, going through Facebook, and I come across a reel where a guy had said this, and it amazed me. And I looked it up, and it's true. It said that Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player that ever lived, had 749 game-winning shots he took. 749 games, which he took the last shot with no time left on the clock. And he only hit 149 of them. But the 149 are the ones that they wrote about.
Exactly. The ones that turned him into Clutch.
That turned him into Mr. Clutch. He failed a lot more than he accomplished, but it's the accomplishments that will get you. So, like you said, don't be afraid to fail, because eventually something might click.
There's the third one. It's Tiger.
Hi, Tiger. You want to be on hashtag Truth?
Yes, she does.
Hey,
say hi,
hey girl. How you doing?
She's my little runt.
Straight? Are you keeping him on a straight and narrow there, Tiger? She's like, I'm out of here. Good deal, man. Well, it was a blast having you on today, sir. I would like to have you on anytime. If that would be awesome. Your partner on, Justin, I would love to have both of you, Justin and Justin, come on, and we'll have a show with both of you. I think that would be something awesome to talk about the early days when you guys were coming up.
Oh yeah, that would be. We actually started sitting down and doing a little like kind of our own personal interview series. I don't know how far we got into it. We was just a one day where we were at practice and nobody else had come. It was just a bad week for training, I guess. And we sat down and we were just reliving some of the old memories and stuff like that. And so I have a feeling that if we were to both come on here, it would be very similar in what we were pulling off there.
Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for Justin. He didn't ask me to, but I'm going to do it anyway. Guys, The Basement Toys and Comics, Salem, Virginia, 117 Goodwin Avenue. The phone
and
number,
Star City Pro.
There you go. And the phone number is There you go. 540-353-2626. And Justin will answer without a doubt, he said. So, yeah, get up there. And again, show your shirt so everybody can see it because I was kind of.
Star City Pro.
Star City Pro. There you go. If you want to do some training, it's not too far. Just right up in Roanoke, Virginia. Without a doubt.
I'm a strict teacher, but I care. I give a damn about the quality of it, you know. And
there you go.
One thing that I like to say, and I hope it bleeds over into my character and my performance. Good enough is never good enough.
There
Always got to be top tier.
That. Well, before we take off, let us know where you're going to be in the near future wrestling as Mr. Donald J BitDon.
I've got a show this weekend in Pelham, North Carolina. I assume defending my Southeastern Heavyweight Championship.
Okay.
Next Saturday, the 19th, is going to be in Rocky Mount, Virginia, at the YMCA. There's 2 more shows in December. I believe one is the 3rd in Pelham, and one might be the 16th in Danville at Skate Town, I think is the name of the place. But 4 more shows.
Definitely find out where it's going to be. Go on Donald J BitDon's Facebook page, and you'll.
That's right. I advertise all of them all the time, and the key for me is I don't like to advertise 3 weeks out because then you forget about it.
Right.
So the week of, you're going to see me post 2, 3, 4 times about that one coming up because you got to keep it fresh in your mind. I don't want you to, oh, that'd be a cool thing to come to in 3 weeks. And then 3 weeks later, you're like, oh, I forgot to mark in my calendar.
Well, there you go. I heard that. All right, buddy. Well, we're going to get out of here, man. I appreciate you coming on. I know the guys out there that were watching. I want to thank Ron, Alex, and everybody who showed up to ask questions. I appreciate it. And we're going to have another show tomorrow night. We're going to have Mr. I got to get his name right. I don't want to get it wrong. Jeff Paul. He was supposed to be on Monday night, but I had to go and do something important for my family. And he obliged me and he moved it to Thursday. So tomorrow night we'll have Jeff Paul. And then next week is going to be an awesome week. I'm going to have 2 great owners and promoters coming on #Truth Monday night and Wednesday night. I'm going to have Tim Cross of Real Shoot Wrestling coming on here and talking about Real Shoot. And I'm going to have Eric Nelson coming on talking about Stranglehold Championship Wrestling. So
Part of them.
We're definitely going to have a lot of fun. So until then, we'll see you. And that is the #Truth. We'll see you guys tomorrow night.